And now for our favorite host, psychotherapist, and astrologer, please welcome Debra Silverman.
Thank you. That was so sweet. Here we are. We're on day 3. Today, we have a different conversation because the moon just changed. It's now in Cancer. It's literally, let me just go look and see at this very instant. The moon's at 28 degrees of Gemini. So before we're done, it's going to move to 29 degrees. So the transition's about to happen for you guys, and you need to know this Wednesday, February 1st, as the day carries on. And I swear to you, I pay attention so much to those videos that I do. I actually watch them and listen to Debra Silverman. When the energy shifts, which is in about 2.5, 3 hours, see if you can feel. We've been in this Gemini Aquarius. We're talking and talking. There's been so much air in the sky, and it moves over to water. So I'll be very curious. And today our presenter is a water sign. So I want to give you the gift of awareness around where are the planets and how do you start paying attention to the cosmic energy? Because the moment you start to look up, the victimization diminishes, because from the highest angle, this is a human experience that is a dream. And before you know it, tomorrow, when I say to you, how is that immersion? You're going to go, oh yeah, India. Now, what did she say again? Oh yeah, Ash. And even what I'm saying to you, so much of it will not be retained in your left brain. But what is always retained is in your right brain, which is your emotional body, which is your heart. So you'll never forget India's beauty, and you'll never forget Ash's smile, and you'll never forget my deep desire to have you come and wake up inside the dream by looking up. So these are the feelings that the moon in Cancer is going to elicit in a few hours. In the meantime, we have a perfect opportunity today to activate this immersion. As Lisa said, it has a transformational value because we're going to meditate every day. And I encourage you to do the same when I'm not around. We're going to encourage you to start thinking about what your chart is telling you. This should be a nagging question that should be driving you crazy right about now. Like, what was my agreement? What was my chart? What was the spiritual Akashic record? What was the thing I signed that I can't remember? Because as I said to you, the left brain function, while it does get us on time to our meetings and tells us how to use the computer, and it's the right brain function, which is the emotional, intuitive retention that happens when you memorize it by heart. Remember when Ash recited that poem he wrote by heart, how it all stuck in his head because it was a song, and there's a memory that comes with songs and right brain. So it's interesting because our participant today, Waylon, who you're going to meet, his chart is very right brain, left brain. And this is a conversation I wanted to start with today, is how do I find balance by not just referring to my left brain's critical dialogue of what's wrong with my life and all the storylines that repeat, but actually activate the healer in me, which is my right brain, which is the emotional wisdom keeper that has deep reverence for your pain and doesn't want you to skate over it and doesn't want you to pretend it's not happening. So the left brain, which is the ego, another way to say it, is the part of us who's trying so hard to be acknowledged and looks right and wears their little jewelry and starts their day by looking in the mirror going, what? That's how you look without your makeup on? And then the other part of the brain, the soul, the right brain, the soul, the observer, we call it in our school, says, honey, you look great. You're doing fine. This is not easy down here. Life is a difficult movie. They don't tell you that. And they don't tell you the whole point of this exercise is to wake up inside the dream, remember who you are, and take your attention off all the things that are wrong. Now, as an astrologer, you cannot skate over it. That's what we're going to talk about today. You can't bypass the very nitty-gritty storyline that you're sitting in, and everyone in this room is sitting in it. Every single person that is watching these videos has an entire network of unconscious material that gets tangled up in life. I'm not doing well enough. I'm not pretty enough. I feel really disoriented. I don't know why I'm so depressed. I feel so scared. I'm socially awkward. I'm so social. You know what your storyline is. What you don't know is there's a part of you that waits in the wings all the time, trying to give you comfort. And once the activation begins, which is what meditation is for, it's what yoga is for, it's what a really good book is for. Meditation happens in many different variations, but the ultimate goal of meditation is to soothe the nervous system, to reduce the noise factory, to give yourself positive stroking that says, I'm doing really well. That was our mantra yesterday. My mind may disagree and I'm perfect just the way what's going on right now. This is the spiritual angle. However, if we hijack or we bypass or we just take the fast route to spirituality without doing the homework, learning who you are, speaking the language, knowing how to meditate, being real and authentic, then all of this new age woo-woo stuff sounds like new age woo-woo stuff. And at a certain point, it's not new age anymore. It's gotten very old. We got the crystals, we got the insight, we got the incense, we have all the classes we take. The difference about our class and all the classes you've taken online is when you finish an astrology class, it was all about you. So it fed your left brain and your ego, it described it, it dealt with the hardship, and then it moves you to your soul. So everyone write this down. Your rising sign is your soul's indicator. The rising sign is called the ascendant. When you know what time you were born, and if you don't, we have someone on our team, you can just look under my website, who can help you find your time of birth. The rising sign, the ascendant, is the way that we diminish and the ego conversation that is so busy trying to make you feel like you're okay, but you're not really, and there's secrets and there's confusion, as compared to, I really do feel like all is well. I've activated my soul. And the soul has a genuine calm that we're going to do in a meditation. So let's just start there right now. It's a short meditation. Come with me and join me by closing your eyes, sitting really tall in your seat. Stopping time with your eyes closed, we diminish the outer world's distractions. That would be the left brain. And we enter into the right brain, into the quiet. And we consciously take the deepest breath you've taken today and hold it at the top. And then breathe out compassion. Compassion for you as a human who's probably dealing with something today. Compassion for those that live near you in your home, your family members who are suffering. Compassion for the experience of being on this earth. It's so difficult. It's so cold right now in North America, and there are so many suffering. We have compassion. With our eyes closed and our soul activated in this moment, you become a healing agent. That was our very first day. I am a healer. I have the power to heal by simply resting in the now with a deep breath. Let's do it again. Breathe out wisdom, the wisdom to stop time, the wisdom to enter into a quiet moment in a group of people who all share the desire to wake up inside this dream. May you find this immersion as an entrance into the part of you that you are longing for. The part of you that's not pretending, it's not fake, it's not a spiritual schmiritual, it's the authentic you who's been following you around since your birth, since your conception, who has your best interest in mind as it hands you your lessons and asks you to stop and breathe and listen. I want you just right in this moment to ask your higher self, what is the word that you're going to carry with you through the rest of this immersion and the rest of this weekend leading till Monday? Pick a word. Ready? Take a deep breath in. Your angel's going to whisper in your ear one word that you're going to carry with you for the rest of our day together. And I heard the word peace. Slowly but surely, you're going to open your eyes. Take your time. Let that word, whatever you just received, if you can write it in the chat, what was the word that was just handed to you? Because here's the deal, you guys, your soul is waiting. All you have to do, that's how short it is. This is the short version of meditation. You stop time. You take a deep breath. You give yourself permission to actually listen and invoke. Listen to the words we've just got. Wow, That is so beautiful. Look at these words: trust, calm, faith. Mary got peace too. Listen, listen, listen. Compassion, illuminate, focus. Wow, so beautiful. I just engaged you to hear from your soul. That's how easy it is. This spiritual world that we live in that has so many technologies for meditation and classes and the tarot and divination cards and yoga, and all of that is so necessary to facilitate the body to come into the moment. And then there's the exercise of stopping time and breathing deeply and practicing it daily. If any of you are interested in learning astrology, which will come soon, we'll be talking about that in a few days. It's a practice, astrology. It's a spiritual practice that says, I am devoted to the influence that is beyond my understanding because I recognize the brilliance, the intelligence that is waiting for me in the cosmos. When I quiet my left brain and my ego is not so nervous and I reduce the energy of the anxiety, suddenly I drop in. Let's do it again. Deep breath. I can hear the birds. I stop time and I'm present. That's really all I want to give to you. Look at all these beautiful words that came in. Okay, here we go. I want you to all hear that if you're interested in this school and you feel like, I don't really understand because we haven't really gone into depth, there is people online ready to talk to you about our school. You have a couple options. You can write to info@debrasilvermanastrology.com and say, I want to know more about the school. But if you're really serious and you want to talk to someone, and please make sure you've got that serious interest, then you go to interest calls wait, how does it go? Interestcalls.com. It's kind of easy. Okay, so I'm just letting you know that there is people online waiting. There we go. Thank you, Melinda. Interest call, it's plural, interestcall.com, and we will help you. Now, all that is to say, I am desperate to help the human race return to its memory that we are in fact divine creatures who have taken on this human experience with a chart that should be tattooed on our forehead that speaks directly to your purpose, your personality type, and the reason for being here. Now, having said that, guess what? This is so exciting. We're going to introduce you to Waylon. I was listening today, Waylon, to some of your work on Instagram. He's about to arrive. I'd love for Lisa to introduce him before I get excited. Go ahead, Lisa. And Waylon,
Of course.
welcome
Yes.
to our
honored guest for
immersion.
today, Waylon Lewis. He's the founder of Elephant Journal and Elephant Academy. He's also an author and the host of the award-winning Walk the Talk Show video series and podcast. He's a first-generation American Buddhist Dharma brat, a grumpy environmentalist, hopeful activist, mediocre climber, lazy yogi, and a 365-day bicycle commuter. Welcome to Waylon.
Oh my God, that was so interesting. Waylon, I'm a bicycle commuter. I don't use a car. Oh, we're in the same club. I'm so happy to meet you. I am a bicycle addict. Are you?
Yes. Yes. Love
Now
it.
I like you even more.
I like you just as much because I'm maxed out.
That was the right answer. Okay, Waylon. So this is such an interesting conversation. Having listened to some of your podcasts, I've been kind of doing that little thing that we do before we meet somebody.
Right.
Waylon and I live in the same town. So we have many mutual friends in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
But the interesting part for me about you is that you started, I want to hear about the entrance of this magazine, Elephant Journal. I want to hear about the name. How did you get, what elephant has a journal?
Love it. Yeah. So we've been around 20 years and we started back when I was a kid. And it was a little like black and white, almost like a glorified pamphlet of a magazine. And it was actually originally the inspiration of my business partner or ex-business partner, Travis, and his wife, Allison, who are students of Richard Freeman and Mary Taylor, wonderful yoga teachers.
Travis and Allison are my friends.
Yeah, they're wonderful people.
Okay, well, let's keep going. So it started there.
Well, that is what's funny about you and me, Deborah, is we're in a small world and we're doing a lot of the same thing with the same people. So I'm so happy to be here with you and your community.
Thank you.
Finally, it's so great to connect more. We connected a bit at Hanuman finally, but yeah. So anyway, Travis wanted to start, it was called Yoga in the Rockies. And I came in totally randomly. I was a journalist and I'd grown up in the Buddhist community. So meditation, my mom was an environmentalist, a bit of an activist. So that was sort of my recipe or my DNA. And I came in and very quickly, he was smarter than me, I'll say. He realized, you know, journalism and magazines and stuff was the silliest way ever to try to make any kind of living. And he wanted to start a family, he and Allison, and they did. But so he left and I kind of rolled with it, and I wanted a different name because I didn't want to be about yoga. I wanted to be about everything yoga people care about, which includes yoga, yoga practice, but also, you know, if you're a yogi, a yogini, you care about food, you care about family, you care about bicycling, you care about astrology, you care about travel in a mindful way. You may care about equality. You know, you care, you're a human being, not a demographic. So I wanted it to be a general word that didn't pin us down to one thing. And growing up in the Buddhist tradition, the elephants are sacred and symbolic of exertion and perseverance, patience. Elephants themselves are matriarchal, deeply feeling, vegan. I'm vegan. They're really intelligent, and they're symbolic directly. Symbolic's the wrong word. They're directly representative of mankind's relationship to nature or lack thereof. And I say mankind because we boys are doing most of the damage right now. So elephants are very sensitive to losing habitat. They're endangered. And then, you know, in the yoga tradition, we have Lord Ganesh. Lord Ganesh was my favorite as a kid because he's so fun and cool and silly and at peace with himself. And so I had all these names. Anjali, I had like 100 names written down. And my girlfriend at the time, who helped me create what would become Elephant Magazine and then Elephant Journal Online, I was going through all the names with her, and I said, Elephant, Anjali, blah, 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 blah. She said, wait, stop, go back. And she loved elephant, and it was general, but also, you know, we all love elephants, hopefully.
And you know the story by the elephant memory? Do you know why people say elephants you have a memory like an elephant?
Yeah.
Because when they mate for life, and when their partner leaves after the death, they go back to the spot where the death occurred, and they make those funny noises. They have a memory like an elephant. They don't forget their partner. Is that crazy?
Wow.
And they're pregnant for 22 months. And when I wrote my last book, I kept thinking I was an elephant. It took so long to gestate. I was like, this is because can you imagine 2 years being pregnant, ladies? Hello. Elephants are wisdom keepers.
Yeah. So I think that was all the meanings. I wrote an article when we first changed the name, which at the time was very controversial. People were very attached to yoga in the Rockies or whatever. And I wrote like a list of like 108 reasons why the change. And, you know, I adore it. It's still our logo. This is our credit card holder in bad shape, but you know, that's basically the logo.
So now tell us just briefly, for people that don't know, this magazine has reached a huge audience. Give us some numbers just to impress us.
Yeah, if I were trying to impress you at like a bar of really boring online journalists, I would say, you know, we have close to 1 million Instagram followers on 5 accounts. We have 13 million fans on Facebook on 70 plus pages. We peaked at about 30 million unique readers a month. We've been around 20 years in a time where this is an awful, awful time for journalism, for local journalism, for independent media. Zuckerberg, Facebook, Instagram, big tech has monopolized how we connect with one another, even Zoom, you know. So we're surviving. We're an endangered species, like our namesake. And you can write on elephant, you can share, you can have tough conversations. We actually have tough conversations respectfully. and with an open mind, open
Okay,
heart.
this is a perfect bridge to your chart. Okay.
There we go.
Your chart is so exactly what you're talking about. So first of all, the journalist in astrology, as you might know, is Gemini. I don't know if you knew that. Gemini is the communicating device that has multiple interests and loves to connect with people and never gets bored unless the conversation goes too long.
Yeah, what I don't know about astrology could fill the rest of the seminar.
Okay, well, that's so perfect because that's why I'm here. So
All right, yeah.
if you circle his moon, he has moon in Gemini. And from the time of the birth that I used, by coincidence, from what you suggested, you were also Gemini rising. But this is, let me describe it. Venus and Gemini, your love for networking and communicating and being interested in all things, like kind of a dilettante, as you described in your bio, so good at so many things, but not really good at anything.
I would agree with that heartily. I've always said my idea of heaven is to go to an endless cocktail party.
Oh my God. Okay. That was another description of Gemini. My ideal of heaven is to go to an endless dinner party. Now, here's the interesting part about your chart.
Cocktail party, not dinner party.
Cocktail party. Very different. How's it
So
different?
we can move around and have.
That's so Gemini. Don't sit anywhere for too long. I understand completely.
Connect people,
Got it. Got it. Then we have Mercury conjunct Saturn. Good catch. People are watching. Watch this. Mercury conjunct Saturn. We've talked about this yesterday with India. When there's a planet conjunct the ascendant or close to that position, it's very significant. Mercury sitting there with the little guy, the hat on his head. He is the symbol. Stop right there. He is the symbol of the intellect. And when you were born, it was sitting right on the horizon, which is the writer, the thinker, the talker, the communicator, the fascinations, the endless fascinations. Drop him off in a library and don't come back because he's just going to be reading little bits of everything. Nailed him. He's never had a reading before, folks. And then we add one more flavor. Saturn is standing right next to your Mercury, and this is a planet we've been talking a lot about. It's the most important in our system, and it's the discipline. Now, here's the curious part about your chart. It's a workaholic syndrome. Do you have that?
Yeah, just a little bit.
You can't have a little bit of a workaholic syndrome.
Oh, I winked there. That's been thoroughly my path. Yeah.
So Saturn sitting on your Mercury gives us the clue, Mr. Cancer, that you get emotionally connected to something you're doing and you can't stop.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not emotionally connected to being a workaholic. I'm emotionally connected to serving our world, creating an enlightened society, addressing climate crisis. These are things I can't rest comfortably unless I'm helping serve or address.
I'm so thankful. And then of course, someone pointed out, look, go over there to Earth, to the 4 elements, to that little box. You see how WAEF is on the left. So there's fire on the top, then comes air, then comes earth, then comes water, and you have nothing in Earth. So practicality, like earthy, grounded, numbers, letters, being on time, being responsible, must be a little bit of an effort for you.
Yes,
but not
and
so
no.
much. Okay. Yes, you could have balanced it out because Saturn sitting on your Mercury makes you so bound to what's expected, but it's not natural. You can stop sharing. Thank you, Shauna.
Yeah, I think that's completely true yet again, which is interesting. But I think what I learned, I don't know how I learned it, but I've written about it many times, is you don't have to be good at everything. And you have to have a mission that people are inspired by, and then people will help. So I've always asked for people who are helpful to help in all the ways I'm awful, like accounting, awful.
My point. Okay, you made my point. So
no, I'm agreeing. I'm just saying you can bring in people are inspired by the mission, and then you can have a community effort,
That's so perfect. Okay, here's the question I want to ask you, because this is the topic of the day. And it's so funny because I had caught this topic and I looked at your chart and I was like, this is so perfect. Living in Boulder as we do, I call it the Mecca. There is so much spirituality. Lucky for us, there's a yoga studio on every corner. There's the best teachers in the world that live in that town. We were together at Hanuman, where I got to do the keynote, where there's hundreds of people coming to study. And then the question is, where is the ingenuous, how do you say that word? The non-authentic. How does it show up? When we talk about spirituality, so many of you in this room have taken so many classes and you're doing the immersion and then as soon as the car cuts you off, pissed off. everything goes down the road. As soon as the relationship breaks up, the person that really offended you, you turn into this. We have a human dimension that doesn't seem to catch up to the spiritual. Can you relate to that split?
Oh, completely. I mean, my parents' Buddhist teacher wrote a book called Cutting Through Spiritual Materialism. So, you know, the basic approach of ego, which everyone thinks ego is arrogant, but ego can be wildly insecure. Ego can be arrogant. Ego is needy and all about me. Ego's mantra is what about me? So ego finds this wonderful spirituality or Debra, any kind of wisdom or community, and says, how can I use this to try to like fill in the vacuum in my heart, you know? So yeah, there's a lot of that. I think the fundamental measure, as I've written in my new book, is, you know, if your spirituality is making you kinder or more compassionate or more caring, is genuine spirituality. If your spirituality is being used to armor your insecurity or arrogance or whatever, to just be another garnish or gild on your ego, then, which we all do, and it's okay to be aware and humorous and modest about ourselves, then we need to probably meditate a little more, you know, kind of cut our own BS a little more.
The thing is, meditation for so many people in this room doesn't work. Like, let's tell the truth. People meditate and they wait for results, and it's very difficult. It took me so many years. It finally worked, but I'm now headed towards 70. So I've got the age on my side.
You're headed toward 50, is that what you said?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
But because I'm getting older, I'm watching the culmination or the refinement, the wisdom. But for so many of you in this room, when we start our 5-minute meditation today, and we ask you to start practicing this, this is the clue. And you have this in your chart. It's you're lucky, Waylon. It has to come with discipline. You can't do something just short and just try it and become a dilettante at the expense of really creating muscles. So I not an easy, you come to our school, it's fun because I'm an entertainment unit. I'm a Gemini like you. I love people. I have fascination with all things to do with distinctions in human nature. And I stare at people and I ask really profound questions and I get under their skin. And having said all of that, there's a part of me that had a really hard time with meditation. I was kind of faking it for the beginning. So I just want to speak to that. This is the inauthentic.
But I think that's okay. I mean, from a lifelong Buddhist point of view, you're not, the whole idea that you're supposed to be good at meditation is just a thought that you become aware of, and then you come back to the breath, say. And the idea that you're not good at meditation or it doesn't work for people, that's more thoughts. You just come back to the breath. Meditation isn't meditation. Meditation is a practice that is very simple. It's not easy, but it's very simple for resting in the present moment. And all of you have the present moment in spades. We all are just drowning in the present moment. And that's why we have to work so hard to distract ourselves from it.
It's so funny. We have so much present moment. And then the challenge for the human brain is to distract us because we don't have peace in the present moment. And that is the ultimate reason. I just want to speak to that. Why do we study astrology? Why do we meditate? Why do we do yoga? At Shavasana, at those moments when you're feeling the peacefulness, everything turns so soft. So I'm hoping this immersion is facilitating you guys, having listened to India Reed yesterday singing I Am Light, having heard Ash Ruiz, who lives in Boulder, by the way, doing his unbelievable satsang. He teleported us. And now in this moment, we're in our heads. I'm talking, he's talking, we're talking heads. And the distinction is, let's do it again. Take a deep breath, hold it at the top. And breathe out present moment. Let it get fat. Let this present moment get so full that your nervous system just relaxed. Allow yourself to know that just a thought away is the Buddha with the wisdom that says all suffering comes from attachment. So if we could right now release ourselves in this moment from whatever the busy, do you know how much there's busy? Let's come back to stillness. We're dropping it again. Let go of busy. Close your eyes once more. We return to that spot as though it was a friend that we had been missing. We come back to the seat. And all of a sudden, there's a distinct difference in my nervous system. It's as though I can feel the angels in the room. They're watching us. To all the Buddhists who are around this world in temples, we acknowledge your stillness. and we hitchhike on the quality of prayer that is occurring across this planet in this moment. Drop in. Give yourself permission to honestly acknowledge the part of you who is soulful, wise, calm, at peace. And let this part of you fill up the whole room you're in, as though the room just got changed in the energy field because you're doing this. And as you breathe it in and out, you're enhancing this authentic, embodied moment and doing it in a circle of a lot of people. There's 17,000 people signed up for this event. We're all in this moment dropping into the spot that's been waiting for you that says all is well. And now when you open your eyes in just a moment, continue this frequency. The art of this life is to open the eyes and interface with the physical world without letting go of the spiritual remembrance. Can I marry the outer world with my eyes open with the inner world where I just found peace? And this space that we're sitting in right now is always waiting for you. That's the craziest thing. To reduce your attachment to what you think should happen, to who you think you should be, to what this moment was supposed to be. Let's just stand still in the truth. And the truth is, eyes opened, present moment. Bring back that word that you brought in during your meditation. I think Waylon's going to stay over there. You love it. I can see you're such a meditator. So you grew up in a Buddhist family and you learned how to meditate as a kid?
Yeah, that doesn't mean that I'm, better at it, but it does mean that I've worked with my speedy nature and found again and again found my way to sanity or my heart or being grounded, like a lot of people are pointing out, no earth. So in Buddhism, we practice connecting heaven, the realm of inspiration or ideas, earth, grounded but nurturing, it's alive, it's not solid, and then heart or society, shoulders, which is what you and I do, communication and caring and expressing and connecting. And so yeah, it's been so helpful. I mean, I did many meditation retreats all my life, and one of the first ones I did, the entire time I think I played basketball games in my head, just trying to survive, just trying to get through it. I was a kid. But then eventually, I had my heart broken by my first love, and then I needed Dharma or meditation. And if you just keep at it, that's why it's called a practice. You don't have to be good at it. You begin to get to know yourself, and that's so precious.
When you add the dose of astrology, where you actually are given the directives that you are so much Gemini and your function is to be busy and talking and thinking and moving and wiggling and moving and wiggling, and you know where to come home at the end of that personality trait. Because you guys, the 12 signs, I always wish there was a 13th sign, which is called the observer, which takes you off the chart into meditation. But then when you come back into the chart and you realize that your life lesson this lifetime, Waylon, your Saturn's in Cancer. So you came this life to learn about your emotional body, that you would be willing to feel the human condition and not move away from it, but rather, this is what your magazine, this is what your publications are. Touch the pain body. When we talk about the environment, the other day, I was listening to some music. I have a very good friend here who's writing a book on the environment and the long view of the planet and how many ice ages we've been through and how this is cyclical, of course. And we started to cry. We were listening to a song, and let the grief be acceptable, that it is so sad what's going on the earth right now. That in Colorado, we worry about the fires, that it's so cold at night, that there's people that are so homeless in Boulder. It's gone crazy. The sadness must be accepted. This is not bypassing the human condition. And all of you have very solid reasons to be sad. And this is a Cancer man we're sitting with. This is where a spiritual schmiritual goes out the window. It's okay to say, I'm sad, I'm depressed, I'm scared, I'm lonely. All of those human dimensions become leverage to go back to your meditation. You use the pain body as a trampoline. Like, okay, so you're in pain. When people come to see me and they're in crisis, you know what I say? This is not nice, but it's true. I go, we got a hot one now. As soon as someone's in crisis and their heart's broken, I can get them out of the illusion.
Exactly. In Buddhism, we call that losing heart. When you finally lose heart, like you want to give up. That's the beginning. That's like the universe, or whatever you want to say, the gateway to kind of giving up your trip. You're finally realizing your trip, your ego or whatever it's just not working. And you have the opportunity to proceed in a different way.
So please don't make a mistake for those of you that are watching this immersion. We aren't going to do magic and completely radically alter your world, but we're giving you some very specific instructions brought to you by an astrologer and a journalist. And the instruction is, said the Buddhist journalist and the astrologer, your story is exactly the grist for the mill. Or as my friend Junpo, I keep feeling him. Did you know Junpo?
I did not. Junpo Roshi?
Yeah.
No, I know of.
One of my dearest friends. He said the angst is your liberation, the very thing that is hurting you, the very problem. So please, in the name of astrology, here's how it distinguishes itself. So if I say, because Waylon's never had his chart done, if I say to him, he comes in for a reading and I say, listen, or by me, let's change that.
I only had it once by a girlfriend who I think you know her, but many years ago. And I think it was different, but anyway.
It doesn't change. So knowing that his Mercury is on his Saturn and Mercury are friends, I know how disciplined and how serious he is and how committed he is, and he wants to make a difference. So he would come in and I'd say, Waylon, good work. You are driving yourself nuts with how much you want to get this thing done. You can't stop. That's just the truth. And then you become aware enough to go, oh, that is a compulsion. That is me operating with a push. And this is the gift of astrology. All of a sudden, a deep breath. Let's do it again. Take it on the top of the breath. Ready? Let's go. Hold it. And then breathe out calm. It's just as simple as that. I swear, I do this all day on my bike, Waylon. My practice on my bike, want to hear my funny practice? I started this during COVID, to see how many in a row of deep breaths I can do and turn my thoughts off. And I'm getting better. I actually started off by counting. And then I was like, can you leave left brain? I just want to do this without counting. Oh my God.
Yeah. I was going to say that's similar to the Zen meditation, but on a bike.
I do it on a bike. So that's my point to all of you. This is what this session is about today. How to not bypass the spiritual schmiritual and be authentic. Please practice. Taking a deep, finish this immersion, read Elephant Journal, come study astrology, but most of all, breathing consciously like the dolphins and the whales. They are our teachers. What if I said to you, this entire illusion, which by the way, you're never going to remember. This is such a dream. Do you remember what you had last week for dinner? No. Our memory is so elephants. We don't have the elephant memory. We are a very short design machine that has the ultimate quest of waking up inside the dream once you activate it. But left to your own devices, we slide into gravity and we fall asleep and we take on the victim role. And it's really hard to be alive down here. And I am the first one to admit that because I suffered from depression so much of my life until I realized, oh, she's my friend. That's what COVID did.
Exactly. Love that. And I would, to the compulsion thing, I would say, you have to have discernment because, like Eleanor Roosevelt said, when she first discovered service, helping others after a life of depression and privilege, it was the first joy she'd ever really felt and lived. And she said, I never wanted to do anything else. And I would say to everyone here, and I've loved that your meditation is like compassion. And a lot of people think meditation is getting rid of the bad stuff. And you never want to give compassion or give peace, but you did it more the Buddhist way. We actually are more powerful than we think. And the angst is the liberation, as you said. We can breathe that in and breathe out compassion. And if more of us discover the joy in service, fewer of us have to have that feeling of compulsion because climate crisis, there are cycles, but we're also creating it. and we're creating a lot of suffering that isn't necessary. And if we care about future generations or elephants or our neighbors or our homeless friends, we really have to serve more and find a way to connect our angst and the joy and service. Because I have a great time, but I would love to work less. I would love that.
Really?
Oh yeah. I'm very good. I'm a water sign, maybe. I don't know.
That's
I don't
right.
want to
That's
get
right.
into your
You're right.
territory, but I'm very good at wearing a swimsuit and nothing else, and playing around in the ocean, and, you know, traveling Paris by bike, and, you know, enjoying a vegan croissant. And, you know, I love that, but I haven't had much of it because I've tried to.
Let me tell you why. There's so many people in this room. How many people in this room wish they could put their bathing suit on, get on a bike, and go have a croissant that's vegan? That's the funniest thing I've heard. But here's the point. We cannot right now. Because the work right now, look at everyone. Look at the chat room.
Yeah.
Everyone wants it. Listen to me, Waylon, you cannot not work right now. We're in the middle of a war, an invisible war. It's between the part of us that believes something's wrong and the part of us that knows there's peace just a thought away. It's a war. And the internal dialogue in everyone's psyche right now is something's wrong. The astrologer's here to tell you, yes, we've contributed. Yes, we're a bad design. The human cannot stop consuming. That's the nature of the beast. We keep writing to Amazon and sending us presents. We keep using plastic every day.
I mean,
we can. And the general rule, you're an exception because you're passionately doing something for the collective and you're being watched. For most people, if you ask them to stop using plastic, to stop flying around, to stop going to Amazon, it's unlikely. So let's be real. Here we are passing spiritual. Mostly what's going on this planet, and I just say I've been researching so much about the climate crisis. We are incapable of future pacing. It's very hard for the human brain to imagine our future generation not having what we have, but that's real. That's what's coming. Our system, based on what we're doing now, will not allow our children to have the life that we've had. It's the end of an era. Now, having said that, here's the spiritual. You can do one of two things. You can research it. Here's the water people, you can feel really compassionate, do your meditation, do your yoga, and pray, and do the inner work. If you were able to find peace and fall in love with your work, which is finding peace, well done. If you're an air person, Gemini, Libra, Aquarius, you're going to research like me. You're going to do documentaries. You're going to go down the land called rabbit holes and study the information. So you should. All that information, reading the Elephant Journal, keeping us educated, asking the hard questions, that's an air personality as compared to the water who's at home watching videos like this. Then we come to the third category, Earth people. They need practical results. They want to get into this conversation. And my friend is writing a book called, ready? I love this, The Practical Guide to the Climate Crisis, to the climate change. What are we going to do, said the Earth personality type. Those are those of you out there who need to know, I'm going to start recycling. I'm going to stop using plastic. I'm not going to eat animals. Call it what you will. Yeah. And then the last category is the fire people who go, do. They stand and they yell and they scream and they get excited about being the activist and being the one that makes the difference and getting themselves out there and moving energy and making sure they're blunt and honest and disruptive. And they are the ones that we need. That would be a Junpo character who I loved. Fire. So you know your role. The question I want to say today as we walk over the spiritual to what really matters is, I just think the most single important thing is, can I find peace first? Because I'm no value at all. My emotional body, my human inner dialogue, my family, I have done so much work. There's a newsletter coming out I'd love to send it to you, Waylon, that is this full moon newsletter that I just wrote that you guys have access to. If you're in this room, you're on my mailing list. And it was all about the process that where destiny came to find me and said, you are going to be an astrologer. Come with us. And my whole life was directed by whoever it is that wanted nothing more than for me to sit here today with you. Mm. You have the same. You have a very strong Saturn. Your destiny line, Waylon, did not leave you alone. It still isn't. It's not going to let you put your bathing suit on. Sorry. It's got a mission and a promise. And we're at a critical moment. And at this moment, it's getting more intense. Because the energies as 8 billion people arrived here has increased.
Yeah. Yeah, I would heartily agree that, like Trungpa Rinpoche, my parents' Buddhist teacher, said, if you're kind of roiling in your own aggression or neurosis, and you want to go protest for peace, you're going to, which is beautiful, you're going to create more aggression out in the world, actually make the enemy stronger, because that's how it kind of works. You yell at your enemy, they hate you, it goes, builds up. But as Pema Children said, and I assume Pema, she said, you don't wait to be perfect. So you work on your Maitri or your inner peace, but service is actually part of that path to discovering who you are. And I would say, I'm zero waste, I bicycle, I'm vegan, I don't think I'm perfect, I'm not high on my own supply, but I'm doing all the things I can do, and they're all joyful. They're all great. And I do take care of myself. I do go to Paris, I do go to the ocean, I do ask for help. So whatever your chart is, I'm going to venture to say you can ask for help, in the areas you need it. And you can practice. I don't know if there's a notion of balance with the charts, or if it's okay to be how I am.
The elements, there's 4 elements, like wheels on a car. If one goes off, the whole thing goes off.
Right. Yeah. So we can ask people like you for guidance and help, and know that our peace can't be selfish. If it's just for ourselves, and nothing's wrong with that, but if it's only for ourselves, it'll never be joyful peace. It'll be that kind of what I call gated community spirituality,
I do everything I can in this life to serve. I wake up every morning asking the question, who can I mean, it's kind of like a toy store. Who can I serve today? Who can I turn on to stars? How can I get them all excited? What song can we listen to? Who could I interview?
I love that about you. That's your spirit. I mean, you're so joyful and such a leader and a servant. I mean, servant leader. It's got to be.
I don't mind being a workaholic. I don't understand what other reason would you come to this earth? And by the way, they call it Earth because it's a workout here. It should be called water because it's a blue planet, but it's actually Earth. And you came here with the purpose, but so many people in this room don't know their purpose. And that's where astrology comes in. You didn't get a vote. You got pushed on the bus. You're going to be a writer. You're going to be a journalist. We're going to send you that Buddhist family. You're going to go down there and you're going to help as many people as you can. You were like, pick me, pick me.
Yeah, I love it. And politics, I love that too. I mean, and you hate politics, but like, I love activism, finding your purpose, which maybe is reflected on that chart, is fulfilling. But it sounds like you're saying you can get too sort of obsessed with what you're called to, and you still have to take care of yourself and ask for help. And
that's your life lesson. Let's just end there. Your life lesson, Saturn and Cancer, and everyone in this room, but he particularly born the year he was born, the lesson is asking for help. And you've done it. It's so funny you named that, because that is, in fact, this lifetime, your willingness to say, can you help me? Can I be vulnerable? Can I just disclose to you, I'm not good at the numbers. I need help with the counting. Somebody help me without being embarrassed. Look at him.
I'm not good at a lot of things, like in relationships, anywhere. Vulnerability is not only okay, but it's beautiful if you can make peace with it. And then people want to help,
Well, let me just be vulnerable and share with you that we're in the middle of a recession on this planet, and this whole arena of the internet and marketing. And of course, my goal is to share with you wisdom and to ignite your passion for us. I'd love for you to take the astrology class. It's so surprising, but the vulnerability is astrology, while it's super popular, it doesn't always have the quality that changes your life. It just becomes one more spiritual lingo jargon. And my desire in your chart is so perfectly fit for this conversation today is to say to you, I am here and our school is here to absolutely make a difference, not just add more thoughts to your left brain egomaniac busy machine. So just saying that. Okay.
I love
I'm
that.
so glad you're here. What is there a next step we're going to have? You're going to see our homework that Lisa's going to present. Thank you so much, Waylon, for your time. You've been so generous. It's so you and me. How can I help? He said. He just responded so quickly. And then here I know.
Well, I adore you. And I do, to be fully transparent and agree with what you just said. I get irritated by astrology and a lot of things, meditation, any of it being crystals, whatever, being used as a sort of almost to enable or take the edge off our speediness. And the way you do it, it feels much deeper and more rooted and actually like a gateway to, a more meaningful life. So thank you.
Exactly. Well said, Mr. Gemini. You just used your Gemini to simply put it.
I thought it was Cancer. Why do I keep hearing Gemini?
Because you have Mercury in Gemini
confused.
and you have Gemini rising. And so that's what, and your moon is in Gemini. Oh, sorry, your moon is in Gemini, your Gemini rising, and your Venus is in Gemini. So surprise, surprise, that's the party that's a speed freak that loves everything, that wants to go to that cocktail party on the computer. That's
Yeah.
Gemini. So go read about it. See, he didn't even know. That's what happens in this school. Woo-hoo. Okay, that was so beautiful, Waylon.
Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, Deborah.